Hi, today we're going to talk about the care and requirements of Chaco golden-knee tarantulas. Now, tarantulas make fascinating pets. They're great to have, but they're not a pet that you always want to take out and handle. They're more of a pet that you're just going to watch and observe. But today we're going to talk about choosing a tarantula, where to find them. Also, we're going to discuss handling. If you do have to handle your tarantula, how to do it. The enclosures that they require. Some tarantulas require certain enclosures. They require certain humidities. Some prefer drier areas. We're also going to talk about decor. Some tarantulas are arboreal. Some tarantulas like to climb. Some are more ground or terrestrial dwellers. We're also going to talk about substrate. As I said before, some tarantulas require more humid areas. Some require more dry areas. So there are certain substrates that you're going to want to use to help retain the humidity or help keep it dry. Also, food. Tarantulas, and as all spiders, are carnivores. They eat a variety of different prey items. We're going to talk about what prey is best suited for your tarantula, especially Chaco golden-knee tarantulas. How to prevent your tarantula from becoming ill. Also, shedding in tarantulas. All arthropods, including tarantulas, have exoskeletons, and they shed, and they go through a certain phase when they're shedding, and how to recognize that phase. Also, sexing your tarantula, which isn't the easiest thing to do. Most tarantula experts have a tough time in sexing the tarantula, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Breeding tarantulas, because if you like having tarantulas and you want to make more tarantulas, there's no better way to experience that and then trying to breed your tarantulas. Tarantulas are found throughout the tropics, in the New World, in the Old World, and they're found in a variety of different habitats. A lot of tarantulas prefer to burrow in the ground, and in these burrows they line them with their silk. The silk keeps the dirt from caving in on them. Also, outside of these burrows, some tarantulas create trip lines. So when a prey item, such as an insect, walks across the burrow, it hits a trip line, triggers a tarantula to come out of the burrow and grab its prey. Some tarantulas are also arboreal, meaning that they're found in the trees. Tarantulas of all species are excellent climbers. And what makes them excellent climbers and what separates them from other spider species is that on the tips of their legs they have tiny little hooks. As you can see here, she is hooked onto my hand and she can hang vertically right off my hand. Also, tarantulas, what separates them from other spiders is that they are covered with all this hair. Now, this hair is not like hair on humans. Each one of these hairs is connected to a special little nerve cell, which also gives a tarantula a sense of what's around it. The biggest predator of tarantulas is a wasp called a tarantula hawk wasp. And when the hawk wasp flies in, it pushes a lot of air, and the air will actually hit the tarantula and trigger these little nerve cells, telling the tarantula that there is a major predator around and that he or she better get out of there quick. Tarantula hawks will grab a tarantula, sting it, and paralyze it, but not kill the tarantula. Instead, the wasp will drag the tarantula on the ground to a pre-made or already dug burrow, where she'll put the spider into the burrow and lay an egg on it. Then she'll bury the spider. Now the spider, believe it or not, is still alive through this entire process. The egg will hatch out and a tiny wasp larva will actually start feasting on the spider while the spider is still alive. Now eventually the wasp larva will pupate and turn into another tarantula hawk. Tarantulas are arachnids, and what makes this an arachnid is that it has 8 legs, 4 legs on each side of its body. Also, arachnids have 2 body parts. The top part right here is called the cephalothorax. The bottom part right here is the abdomen. Now, tarantulas are found throughout the tropics. There are New World tarantulas, which are found in Central, South America, and Old World tarantulas, which are found over in Africa and Asia. If you're choosing a pet tarantula, I would recommend going for a New World tarantula. There are some species in the New World that tend to be more docile. Old world tarantulas tend to be a little bit more aggressive, and some old world tarantulas have a significant venom. Now, tarantulas are a primitive spider. What makes them a primitive spider is that their fangs are curved directly underneath their cephalothorax. And if I'm very gentle, I will turn her over, and you can see how the fangs right there are curved and tucked underneath their body. In order for a tarantula to strike or bite, a tarantula has to raise the first half of its body off the ground. More recently evolved spiders, such as black widows and house spiders, fangs are sideways, so they can bite like this, whereas the tarantulas have to come down on something to bite. Now, other arachnids include ticks and scorpions. Overall, tarantulas are fun and rewarding pets. They're great animals to have for observation. There's a lot of different species out there, come in a variety of different colors. Before you buy or purchase your pet tarantula, make sure you talk to someone who knows a lot about tarantulas, and they'll point you in the right direction of which species is best suited for you. Things that are important that you want to remember is that when choosing a tarantula, if you're a first-time tarantula owner, get one that's easy to work with. Get a hardy species, and get a species that is fairly docile. One that you can actually pick up if you have to, and not one that will aggressively strike at you. If you have to handle your tarantula, remember to be very careful. They are fragile animals, and they happen to drop off your hand and land on a hard surface, your pet could perish. Make sure you provide the right environment for your tarantula depending on species, whether terrestrial, whether they're arboreal, require high humidity, or more of a desert species. Make sure you provide hiding spots for the tarantula. If you have them in a large terrarium, tarantula needs to feel secure. Or if you want to place them in a shoebox that are easily stacked, if you don't have a lot of space, or if you want to start breeding tarantulas and don't have a lot of space. Food items. Make sure you have a variety of food items. As I said before, cockroaches, very easy to breed. Crickets, very easy to get, but again, can be smelly and messy as well. Shedding. Make sure you provide your tarantula with ample humidity, especially when they're shedding. It helps them shed a lot easier. And if you want to eventually breed your tarantulas, it's a fun and rewarding experience. Also to keep in mind is that tarantulas, especially females, can be very long-lived. In fact, one of the record tarantulas, lifespan of a tarantula, was a red-legged tarantula, a red-kneed tarantula, and it lived for over 30 years. Males do not live as long, live generally for about 3 to 5 years. But if you get a female tarantula, you can have a pet for a very, very long time. So those are some of the things that you want to keep in mind. Now, if you want a pet tarantula, where do you find a pet tarantula? Always check with your local laws, because some states they do not allow having pet tarantulas. But in those states that it is legal to have a pet tarantula, some people, such as myself, breed them as a hobby, and you can usually find those people online, or you can go to a local reptile club. Usually reptiles and arachnids and tarantulas are associated with one another because it's an exotic hobby. So you can ask those people of where they get their tarantulas, and some pet stores will sell tarantulas as well. Be wary on buying your tarantula online because you cannot actually see the spider, so make sure you get it from a reputable breeder. Now, if you go to a pet store, or if you actually go to the breeder's home to find a tarantula, make sure you look over it, make sure it has all of its legs, make sure it doesn't look too stressed out. Also, you want to check the back of the tarantula's abdomen. It will also often tell you if the tarantula is a hair kicker. Tarantulas, if they feel threatened, will often kick hair off the top of their abdomen. Usually it's when you first pick them up or they get spooked. Now, this hair, if it gets in your skin, it just makes you itch a little bit. But if you breathe it in or get it into your eyes, it could be very, very irritating. And some tarantulas have very bad ulcerating hairs, such as the larger species, as the Goliath bird-eating spiders. Their hair can really, really burn your eyes if you get it into your eyes. So be very, very careful of that.